Meeks.
Here.
Ballrath.
Here.
Werfel.
Here.
Yarborough.
Present.
Elliott. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. We were all sent the minutes for the August 5th board meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions from those minutes? If not, then I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
This is Commissioner Harrison, I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you.
Commissioner Werfel, second.
Thank you. We have to do roll call on it?
No.
No? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Communications, Madam
Yes.
Clerk.
You should have received 3 communication, one from Tricia Kovac, St. Joseph, Michigan, an email regarding Berrien County return to school concerns received on August 4th. Misaki. August 6th. We'll see.
We are now ready for public comments regarding only the resolutions that we have on the consent calendar today. Please give your name and your address, or not your address, but where you're from, and you have 2 minutes.
Berrien Sheriff, Pipestone Township, 9-3, ending in 9-3. They're adding people to the public defender office. Why are we doing that? Why are we adding more people? I thought we had enough people already for that office. Of course, you're changing one from supervisor to administrator. So that's not a real additional one, but there's not very many resolutions this morning. I only found 2, I think, unless you've got more. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shearer. Are there any other public comments regarding resolutions?
What?
All right, seeing that there's none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. I have not heard from any commissioner that you want to pull any resolutions for further discussion. If so, I'm looking for a motion to accept the consent calendar.
I'll make that motion.
Support?
I'll support.
It's been properly moved and supported. That's an aye vote?
No,
That's roll, okay. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Curran.
Yes.
Freeling.
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hinkleman.
Yes.
Legere.
Yes.
Meeks.
Yes.
Ballrath.
Affirmative.
Werfel.
Yes.
Yarborough.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas, motion carries.
thank you. Annette, did we have to do something for the resolution or for the requisitions? Okay, all right, it's coming around. Oh,
Do the review, I'm sorry, I just made the whole thing, I have to remember to put that back on the agenda, I apologize.
I'll go around. Thank you.
all right, that's all, thank you. We have no added resolutions. The board meeting calendar. Annette, is that for you?
Thank you.
I mean, if you'd like me to speak about it, I can, but I did send it out and noted that part of your conversation last week was possibly eliminating the September 2nd meeting, but adding the 5th Thursday. This room has a week-long reservation in it because it was your 5th Thursday and I didn't know you were going to have that conversation. And the drain commissioner is doing a value conference. I don't, that's not the right word, but, and it's a week-long thing. And I cannot put him at the county conference center because they have COVID clinic going on that week. He needs a full week. And so I sent out a revised calendar with just the September part, noting that we will have 2 full days of board work on the 13th and the 14th for budget hearings. that will have staff involved with that as well. And so I sent it to you with a possibility of just removing the September 2nd calendar from your meeting schedule, and then leaving the fifth Thursday as a fifth Thursday with no meeting.
So then we would just have meetings on the 9th, the 16th, and the 23rd
And you're
of regular board meetings.
correct?
I'm not talking about budget hearings.
Right.
Right.
That's correct.
Is there anybody want to talk about that, or what's our pleasure? Yes.
I would like to say thank you. You really did some good work in studying what was going on in those days. And I'm satisfied. We're adding another one anyway. Or we're back up to what the total with the budgets.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah, I'm in complete favor of not meeting on September 2nd. And then
30th.
not meeting on the fifth Thursday, on the 30th. So, yeah, that's good consensus. Okay.
Good job on that.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
So I think, Sharon, don't you need a motion to amend the calendar with the changes of removing September 2nd?
We've done it both ways.
Oh, so I guess that would be a clerk question. I don't.
Why don't you just take a motion that
Yeah.
you are going to cancel the September 2nd
If you need a motion, I'll
meeting
make it.
schedule?
All right. Whatever Sharon said.
Okay, because the only
Yes.
change would be removing the September 2nd.
Yeah.
I'll
Otherwise,
support.
everything stays the same.
Everything stays the same because we don't have to.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Now you gotta say all in favor.
Yeah, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And you're right, we don't need to do anything with September 30th because it is a fifth Thursday and
That's the only change.
right, that's the only change.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
good, thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Madam Chair from Finance.
Thank you, Chairman, Vice Chairman Scott. I would like to let you know that our executive assistant to administrator, Annette Christie, came to us talking about the need to adjust the commissioner's budget. And what we came to is that we would like to add $143,000 to our budget from the contingency fund, and $100,000 would go to our legal and $43,000 to our per diems. Annette has looked, and as you see how thorough she is and what if this and all, and hopefully $143,000 will be enough to take us to the end of the year. We did some waiver request approvals, and we did some, one of them was for $1,701.89 for an existing agreement. Let me see. Oh, a lightning strike hit Madeline Bertrand County Park that damaged IS equipment, and we fixed that. And then another waiver, and we used a single source because we needed to go with the company that had installed it. And then we had another waiver for $9,300, and that was with the electrical contractor Mead and White in the county jail. There was some extra work that needed to be done that was not in the original contract. We had a couple of other, what was it called? Contract modification. We had a couple of contract modifications that we had to do. We accepted our minutes. We voted to pay the bills. And that was our committee meeting. Thank you. Any other things? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Any questions for finance? Seeing none, Commissioner Harrison, PHS.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Vice
Mr.
Chair.
Yeah, right.
So, we also met this morning. We reviewed the July per diems and approved those, as well as acknowledge receipt of the classification and compensation study for the county employees. We also heard from Courtney Davis. She came in and talked about the plans for the funding agreement with the state health department, went into great detail, as well as also the separation of dollars from our master agreement with the state health department to isolate COVID funding, COVID-related funding. Both of those will be coming to you in the near future. We also approved a employee training event for Guy. This is a GIS focused on public health, and it'll be through the University of Illinois Chicago. It's in next year's budget, and so he'll be meeting with Lex to go over that. So thought that was a good step forward. And then we had a monthly update from Courtney regarding all the other health department services. They are fully engaged in their health code required activities. There are some vacancies that they're working to fill. And so good report from Courtney, and we expressed appreciation for all of the work that they've been doing. So that kind of summarizes our activity. We did have our administrator come in and talk to us about a number of issues, and we gave him the full support of the committee.
Any questions for PHS? I have one. When it comes to the grants that the health department gets, are they filling out applications for those grants? And if so, who reviews exactly what's in the grant and what it's for? Like, I mean, because it always comes in as COVID related, but we don't actually know. And I'm just wondering if that's something that your committee could be asking, because I know we've had other issues already with grants where we've voted to give the grants and we didn't really know what they were for.
There is a continual dialogue between our health department and the state of Michigan over the activities and the funding associated with them. And so there is a regular dialogue. I'm not sure that the committee, and then they basically go through the health board also before they come to us. So I'm not sure that individually or collectively the PHS, while we're very talented, whether we have the ability to fully understand everything that they're going to do and the basis for that. It is something probably better left to our technical experts.
All right, just a
Yeah,
question,
good question. Very good question.
Commissioner Freeling.
As a follow-up to that, I do think that there's a policy that the Finance Committee several years ago kind of helped to establish with regards to grants. And I think we have someone who helps to coordinate those, that reviews them here in staff for Berrien County. So I'm sure that they're already doing that, but maybe that might be something to follow up on.
Sure, we can look into that.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
All right.
Good question.
All right, thank you. Jim, admin.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This morning, we had our county prosecutor in to see us first, and Commissioner Meeks would like to report out on that.
Well, I don't do this as good as you, Jim, so just bear with me on it. But he had a lot of good things to say, the prosecutor. And one of the things that kind of stuck out with me is basically he talked very well about his staff and how well things are going and how busy he is. I think he has like a couple trials a week that's going on. And there's some good news about the violence that's been going on. Not say good news about what they're going to do about it. They're going to assign 16 troopers to Ben Harbor and Ben Township to kind of help with this. And he did. So one thing he's very much is going to prosecute any kind of illegal gun violence or activities. So he's real strong support on that. And he talked about expungements that he's working with. He's working with the community, and I kind of like that. He's well known in the community now. He's got out and he started getting involved. And one of the things he said that we need total community support for what's going on. So not just a Ben Harbor and Ben Township problem. He said he needs support from the whole community. So this, if I missed anything, excuse me, Jim, I'm not.
Yeah, I would like you to mention, or one of the committee members, on the 21 day, I didn't write that down exactly.
Yes, he did. I'm sorry. I
It
didn't
would-
mention
yeah,
21
somebody-
day,
That sounded like a very, very
the peace
good.
rallies.
Starting Sunday,
Study,
3
yeah.
PM,
Okay,
the Old Mercy Center.
okay, well.
Yeah, because
Well, thank you,
we
Joe.
offered up our support for that effort. You know, they got to do something about the gun violence in Benton Harbor, and they're taking a pretty good initiative. And that 21 day initiative is a good start, and we
Yes.
support it 100%. And we told them we would. Okay, nothing else on the prosecutor's office. Next, we had Chief Judge Mayfield and Carrie Spatanka-Haney in to see us. And Commissioner Wolfle would like to report on that.
It's like, okay, which microphone? These two are going back and forth.
Well,
And if it echoes, it's because they both have them on.
well,
Um,
we're not used to that much room.
No. Judge Mayfield gave us a wonderful update. So there was a lot of things that she covered. First, she covered the COVID updates for the courts. They will be instituting new protocols starting next Monday regarding masking. They're going to require it for the jurors in the courtroom. However, when they go into deliberations, they won't be required. It's up to the individual to make that decision. And people sitting in the courtroom, if they do not wear a mask, there'll be social distancing. So there'll be a memo coming out on that, but they're putting all of that together, but they're going to be instituting some of those protocols starting next week. Also, because we moved to substantial for the courts, that also means that our county moved to the rent moratorium. So that is happening as well now. And that goes up a number of days beyond if we move out of substantial. So she did explain that to us as well. Judicial council updates, the judges, there's some changes in what the judges are doing. Judge Wiley and Judge Bruce have wanted to step back a little bit. And so Judge Connor and Howard will be stepping up to fill in for those things. She gave us an update on the criminal justice reform. Since April, there have been this large document, and if anybody wants it, I can get it to you, over 50 changes in the criminal justice reforms in the state of Michigan that the judges have been going through and instituting and making happen here in Berrien County. So that's going very well. The expungements, as Don said from the prosecutor, it just added a lot. Carrie brought us a picture. These are all the expungement cases that they're dealing with in the courts. So there's a lot. And she did say that Judge Bruce was going to be exclusively handling the expungements going forward as they start moving through the process. Update on the J-Work system. They went live June 15th and all is going well. And that first phase was for civil and probate courts. And so that's going well. In 2022, they don't know the exact date, but it will happen in 2022. The criminal courts will go live. Juvenile Center, she gave us an update on that. They've got an executive director retiring, but she did say they've got a good pool of applicants, so they're excited about that. They are working on their strategic planning reboot, and the council, the Judicial Council, should be approving it in the coming weeks, and then we'll see a copy of that. So she didn't share what was in that, but they do have it complete for the 20 to 23 timeframe. And then she did mention in an internal court response regarding, as you brought up, the salary study, and that our employees are looking for some status on that. They know what happened there, and it's been brought up before. So they just want the transparency on what's going on with the salary study. And that is my report. I think I got everything.
Thank you, Julie. Any questions on prosecutor reports? Okay, we're going to have a resolution for you at our next meeting. Previously, we had authorized a speed study be done in New Buffalo Township. The speed study was done, so this resolution authorizes the results of the speed study. And this is from an old M60 from a point 555 feet east of Clay Street, and that's at the New Buffalo city limits, to Boehner Road in New Buffalo Township. Then the speed limit has been reduced to 35 miles per hour. So we'll be having that resolution at our next meeting. We had our vice chair in who had nothing for us. And
He
we
told
had
us
no
our
public
arrival
comment,
time.
and we adjourned our meeting. That's our report.
Just want to give a brief update. On Tuesday, the Berrien County Planning Commission meeting was held, and we are working on getting together the survey that will go out in conjunction with the strategic planning survey that we were told about in our update a couple weeks ago. So we were going through some of those questions and kind of working through the draft of all of that. So that will be rolling out, I think, within the next month or so is what, no, actually probably earlier than that. But so that was the largest portion of what we worked on in the Planning Commission. We also had John Engelhoff in to give a presentation to the Planning Commission on the findings of the executive summary from the survey that we did on broadband here that we finished up in May. And so he presented all of that information to the Board of Commissioners, or not the Board of Commissioners, the Planning Commission. And sentiment there was they're really very much supportive of the work that we are doing in that area on broadband and connectivity throughout Berrien County. And so we had some robust discussion about how we can kind of help make certain that we continue to stay on the gas with that objective here in Berrien County, and how they can be supportive from the Planning Commission's perspective to the Board of Commissioners for the work that we're doing. Outside of that, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to have power at our home. But I do want to say and take a moment to just say I'm thankful for all of the work that's gone in over the last 2 days to restore so many of the consumers for electric. There's been a lot of great coordination from all of the different agencies to make certain that that significant rain and storm event has the least amount of impact going forward. So that's my report.
Segue into that, I've been out for 60 hours down in New Buffalo Township. But anyway, every now and then the power comes back on for like a minute or like 30 seconds, and then it goes back off again. So I get a notice from AEP that the power has been restored. And then I get the next notice is you have a power outage. So that's telling me they're trying. That's Commissioner Harrison.
I will comment that I've been out at the EOC because of the power outage and the rainstorm.
Yeah.
But I'll let Commissioners Kern and Volrath go into greater detail. But I'd like to also echo Commissioner Freeling's comments regarding all the good work being done by AEP and also the local units of government and their staff. It really is gratifying to see the high level of coordination taking place. And that would conclude my report.
Thank you.
No report.
All right. Regarding the EOC, we activated the EOC on Tuesday because of the storms that came through. It was primarily for the Bridgman area. There's a substation down in Bridgman that got flooded and basically killed the power for that whole area down there. I will say that because of our exercises that we do with the Cook nuclear plant, our EOC really runs rather well. And in this case, when we do our Cook drills, we have a representative from the Cook plant in the EOC with us. And so if you have a question, you can go right to the source, you know where it's coming from, and they also have contacts inside Cook that they can talk to. In this case, we had a representative from AEP in the EOC with us, so we could rely on that person. You could go right to them and ask them a question. And I think everyone out at the EOC did an excellent job, and we just deactivated it this morning. So if anybody's out of power, hopefully they'll get there sooner than later. But as far as anything needed from the EOC, we deactivated this morning. Am I correct, Undersheriff?
Yes, damage assessment cleanup is still going on, but the last operational briefing was this morning.
Very good. And your people did an excellent job. That's my report.
Well, number yesterday on some damage, it was around $800,000 on some all personal property that was involving. But we know there's a lot more than that because people are already putting out things out on the road. Couches and chairs, whatever's getting soaked and going through their own cleanup. So we know there's going to be more coming in, and hopefully they get in really, really soon so we can get a good number. Like Jim said, the EOC operates top notch. Tuesday morning, I was sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee with nothing to do all day. And then all of a sudden, 45 minutes later, we're at the EOC with a power outage and things. And the gal from AEP that was there, INM, was, I learned a lot from her just sitting next to her for a couple of days because she's very knowledgeable and knows what's going on. And you will see that, the numbers change. Earlier this morning, we were down about 21,000 without power. I see it's now up to 22,000. So when they fix one thing, something else they're finding out is wrong down the line because you don't know that the people that you're putting the power back onto have got a tree in their backyard. So those things, go on all the time. But they brought in more crews last night, and she said that once they bring them in, they have to rest for a certain number of hours before they can put them to work. So they were all out early this morning, as many as they could. But there's a lot of states around us who are in similar situations. Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, who've been getting whacked by storms. The Tigers have been had a rain delay their games 4 days in a row. Started their games. They started in Cleveland, went to Baltimore, and just keep following them. So, it's been a rough time. And I know with the storms rolling back through, they have to quit working when that happens, and it just makes things worse. And we're getting additional damage from the storms that are coming because of the heat. We want to get everybody back up and running as quickly as possible. So be patient. It just takes time, but we're doing everything they can. I see them doing it and sweating while they're doing it. It's tough. And also this week, Area Agency on Aging, we voted, the board met Monday morning and voted replacement for Lynn Kellogg. It's going to be Christine Van Landingham, who's been there for over 20 years and is extremely knowledgeable in the job and will be a great, she'll keep things going that Lynn's built for her 40 years. So we're very pleased with that. I don't have a timeline yet, Brian. As soon as I do, I'll get a hold of Christine to find out when Lynn's going to officially step down. I think we still have a little time and to do something. So that's my report.
And I'd like to comment on that also on the AEP with a lot of people. I've had some people call me as county commissioner, why can't you get the power back on? I have nothing to do with it. My power's out, but the easiest thing on that is, and a lot of people don't think of this because they think my power's out, and that's all they know is, and I tell them, people from AEP, they have to sleep too. They have to take off time or otherwise, that's a very bad job to do, restoring power on a lineman. So, but so far people they've been very calm, they don't like the fact that they can't talk to somebody. They have to do it on a phone or a computer, and a lot of the elderly people don't have that, so they never know what to do, how do I get it? But yeah, no, that is, and those are all good points, but there's nothing we can really do about that. But I'm glad to see that we have such a good working relationship with those people from AEP and different, so that makes a big difference. All right. Oh.
I do have a report, but I left my notes in the car, so I'm gonna have to pass this off to Mamie, who went to Michigan Works. Well, I was hoping that it started from the other end, but it didn't. Okay,
He knew.
so I'll let you know, we, Michigan Works, we did go have a couple of yesterday. Mamie and I was there.
All right.
So it's on you, Mamie.
I don't have a report either, but I just want to note that I think Administrator Wolf put Annette in charge of the senior centers about 4 or 5 years ago to get them all on one financial highway, and they were spread all over. And today we had a outstanding report, and I think a lot of it has to do to her follow through. And I just want to acknowledge her for that.
That's great.
Way to go, Annette. Way to go, Annette. Okay.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it is. It's all about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Meeks and I attended a committee meeting for Michigan Works, and I was trying to find a name of what it is, and it just says committee. But what it covers are the training, the youth bill, the Bridges Academy, adult education, and the person that's over that and that presented to us was Lily Brewer. And I just want to tell you a few things. And this is everywhere. Michigan Works are the employer. They're like the employment agency and da-da-da-da-da. And they have so many jobs available and no people to put in them. They've done all kinds of things trying to find people or encourage them or encourage the employers to say you need to raise more or can you give a bonus or whatever. So they're working on that. And what it came to me was that I should put Todd Gustafson, the director of Michigan Works, and our administrator, Brian, to sit together and see if they can't work something out. And so I wrote him a letter. And so hopefully the two gentlemen will get together and something good will come of it. I want to let you know that Bridges now has a charter school, and it's called the Bridges Academy of Southwest Michigan. They've been working under other schools for quite some time. And finally, what they decided the best thing to do would be to apply and see if they could become a charter school, and they did. Dr. Harrison, could you tell me the college, is it Central Michigan? Central Michigan University is the sponsor of it. And to be sufficient or to have enough money each year, they need at least 90 students. And they've had about 30 or 40 people to sign up. They're hoping to start the school in, September. It's going to be covering grades 9 through 12 and up to 18 years old. They won't take over that. Then after that, it's adult education or youth build or something. So that's what's happening. And like I said, they're trying to get people into jobs because there are so many jobs available. That is my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator's report.
Yeah, I was just going to compliment the sheriff's office, Captain Adams, Rocky, running the EOC this week. I'm always impressed working with him, but the information that they were able to push out on the flooding as well as the power outage was really impressive. Multiple press releases, multiple cooling stations, and it was very, very helpful just to be able to get answers quickly for any member of the public that was asking this office. So, Chuck, please pass along my compliments. Those are my comments.
Thank you. We've moved to the general public comments section of the agenda. Those wishing to speak to the commission here may do so for 2 minutes, shall identify themselves and the area that they're from.
So I'm not on your agenda. So Annette Christie from Keeler Township. Thanks, Commissioner Derrick, for that. But it is actually the staff at your senior centers who went along with all of the terms of appropriation and then worked with the auditor to get everything in order and in line. So really, they deserve a lot of that credit. And thank you for your adjustment to your calendar today as just one of the staff that is affected by your meetings and has all of the work and effort that has to go into doing that. We schedule our vacations around you guys. So fifth Thursdays are, that you'll see a lot of us that are gone on that week. And so I do appreciate that. And I'll be able to take a long weekend that weekend. So thank you.
Thank you, Annette.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful.
Tony Bender says, question in a statement. As of 8 o'clock this morning, the swing bridge in Benton Harbor in the harbor down here for the railroad is out of commission. Evidently, the dredge company decided to cut into the power cable that's buried underneath the river. And it may be some time before it's fixed. Amtrak was sitting on the north side of the river with nowhere to go. The other thing is, it was mentioned that the commissioners are supposed to be at New Buffalo or Chickabing at 5 o'clock. Now, if you guys are going on a tour in a bus and there's more than a quorum in that bus, it constitutes an open meeting. Now, is the public invited or not? That's my question.
Hello, I'm Mark Anderson, a semi-retired journalist from Lake Township, Winter Texan, and Niles property homeowner. Actually, a rental property there, to be exact. And I'm here to address the COVID situation. I'm very concerned about the direction this country's going, and all governing bodies play a role in this to mitigate against potential tyranny under COVID. But amid what I call the COVIDocracy, for the first time, Americans are facing the possibility of living under tyranny. The WHO, the World Economic Forum, even the CDC, which has conflicts of interest, and Big Pharma especially, which increasingly owns our media. In fact, I'd say the media is almost wholly owned by Big Pharma. These powers are taking on unprecedented dimensions in our society. And we must remember that as soon as medicine becomes in any way coercive or forced, it's no longer a humanitarian or medical thing. It becomes medical tyranny. And Americans have never really known full-blown tyranny like those that have lived in communist countries. Now, the science that the vaccines are based on is an apparent ideology. There's a relentless push for coerced vaccines. That's where it's heading, despite a overall COVID recovery rate of about 98% globally. And there's constant media claims of new cases, even though the PCR test's inventor, Kerry Mullis, who met an untimely death, strangely, he warned that the PCR is not really a strictly diagnostic test at all. And as we've heard, if there's high cycles, it will misread your biochemistry and give constant false positives. And the vaccines were developed in record time, and they saw very little in the way of animal trials, and they're highly experimental to this day and unlicensed. And Pfizer is even testing its jab on 6-month-olds at Stanford. And so that means the people themselves are literally the lab rats. We are the test subjects.
Sir, you have 2 minutes if you could wrap it up. You're going over. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I'll wrap it up. That is about it. I guess the most salient point at this point, given the time limits, are county government is the perfect level to stand in this gap and defend our liberties, not just be an instrument in this medical system that is increasingly based less on science and more on ideology. And I ask the board, as we go into the fall and there may be more variants and more lockdowns, to look out for our liberties and not just go along to get along in this unprecedented situation in our country. So thanks for listening.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to piggyback on a lot of what he said. I'm Amy Foster. I live in Stevensville. I have 4 Lakeshore daughters. I'm a member of Berrien County Parents for School Freedoms, which just spawned maybe like a month ago, and we've grown to over 1,500 Facebook group members that are growing. You may have started to see our signs: smiles, not masks, schools teach, parents decide. We are advocating for our children's freedoms in the schools. We believe it is right and just for parents and students to choose whether or not to wear a mask. We support either choice. After over a year of COVID, we have learned a lot. I truly believe this has become an issue of freedom, and I hope as Americans we can all appreciate the pricelessness of the freedoms endowed on us by God. A few key points. Some of this may be repetitive. And no one should be pressured into any social, economic, or other way into getting the experimental vaccine. I also pray that this vaccine is not rammed through the FDA, rendering the FDA approval meaningless. I have had COVID and the vaccine, but it was my choice, made freely without pressure. 0 child deaths in Berrien County. I can't say that enough. It's extremely important to keep in mind. Low hospitalization and death in Berrien County, which is good news. The Berrien County Health Department is trying to make our data and dashboard better, but the overfocus on positivity cannot be ignored. There are multiple tests given to people, and as Mrs. Werfel mentioned, people test multiple times, sometimes to go back to work, and they remain positive for months possibly, so the transmission rate is not necessarily accurate. I question the proposition that the vaccines are superior to natural immunity. Why are there breakthrough cases? I hope and think that our county is honest, but I do not trust the CDC and Big Pharma. They have had record profits from all of this. With the push for testing, why are we not testing for natural immunity? It can be done, and it would be good for parents and schools and the community to know. The quotation on our Facebook page sums it up. What is right for me may not be right for you, but what is not right for either of us is being stripped of the freedom to choose what is right for ourselves. We are Americans, and we can and must do better, and I'm asking you to go to bat for us. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Darren Sheriff, Pipestone Township. I can remember when the seatbelt law came in, and there was a big uproar about having to wear seatbelts and all kinds of confusion about, well, I'm not going to do it, and our kids aren't going to do it. Now my grandkids get in the car, and the first thing they do is buckle up, even from age 1 or 2. So, you know, this COVID thing is going to be a similar thing down the road. I can remember when polio came in, polio shots and all these others, even for measles and so on and so forth, that all our kids now get pretty much on our grandkids get pretty much on a routine basis. And back then there was always people against all these things. Oh no, I'm not going to have my kids do it, and so on and so forth. Now my grandkids, it's just an automatic thing. And the same thing with, like I say, with the seatbelt law and the helmet law, with the motorcycles and all this sort of thing. So down the road, you know, 5 years or 10 years from now, or probably even 3 or 4 years, my grandkids just automatically wear a mask. Anywhere they go, you know, they've got their mask with them and they don't think anything of it. So it will become pretty much a natural thing. But you're always going to have some people that say, I'm not going to do it. And I guess that's their right if they want to. But, you know, right now it's a big uproar as to whether you should do it or should you enforce it. The airlines now there's 3 airlines that says their employees do not have to be vaccinated. So there's even major companies that are starting to look at this thing in a completely different orientation than what it was before. And I think that's probably good. You can have a choice. But I agree with these people that, yeah, okay. A lot of this, you know, this big government, big business is dictating what we do. You know, the old saying that he who had the gold maketh the rules. That's pretty much where we're at. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to other business. Is there any other business that we have? Okay. We'll go to announcements and reminders. Just to the board members that we're supposed to be there at 5 at Chickamine Township Hall. Our administrator has gotten us, I believe, a couple of buses so that we do not have a quorum. So then we are not in violations of any Open Meetings Act or whatever. And that's at 5 o'clock at the Chickamine Township Hall. It's actually in the fire department, which is, it's connected to it, but it's kind of around the back. You'll see where all the cars are parked. We just need to get you there. And then once you see the cars, we'll get Amy there. The other thing that I would like to bring, or do you have something about the?
Yeah, just to the board, the address is listed in your agenda. Supervisor Bunty with Chickming is setting you all up in the fire base so that there's plenty of room for you all as well as the public. We will send reminders about the address. If there are any questions, just give us a shout and we'll get them addressed. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, yes?
Reminder that that meeting will not be streamed to YouTube.
Correct.
Because we do not have the ability to do that there.
Right, that'll be an in-person meeting.
Correct.
We will not be streaming that on YouTube. The other two things that I had that have nothing to do with that, and I was gonna ask Commissioner Hinkleman, was how are the crops doing? Because people always like to know. They like to know about the crops and what are coming up. So I'd just like to ask you about that, if you could, to let board members of the public know.
Very quickly, so weather had consequences for everybody's household, it also has consequences for the crops. I think in Commissioner Freeland's area, you guys got 7-8 inches of rain. At the same time, other places in the county got 9/10 of an inch of rain. And so crops, water's a wonderful thing, but it can also be a deluge. It's not a good thing. And so, the answer to that is it's a mixed basket out there. It really is. And so we're not in as bad a shape as the Dakotas and western Minnesota. Those people are drying up out there. Very, very strange that it's like that at all. One other thing that I'd like to say off that topic, but concerning the buses, one of the promises that the board has always made to the public and done it very literally at this meeting would be to say that we're not going to discuss any business during the time of those trips are meant to be informational. And in this case, and so we've always made the promise to the public that we're going to try to do the best we can to separate ourselves so that we don't violate the Open Meetings Act, but nothing should be discussed at that meeting. No business, nothing transcendental, only you're there to gather information, and that's all at that point in time.
It's a show. It's
a learning experience. So that you can gather intelligence, at that. And we've always just made the point that, but we're not going to discuss other things. So you need to refrain from that at that meeting. So just be aware if that's helpful.
Extremely.
Yep. And one other question I had for you, Jen. How is the enforcement or whatever of the tractors and everything that are on the roads? Is that getting better?
Hasn't changed.
Okay.
Hasn't changed.
Well, I know, but I like to bring these things up because it's important.
I appreciate you asking. It hasn't changed. This is a really bad time to be a farmer on the road. There's a lot of people that are trying to enjoy their summer vacations. The area that I happen to live in is crossed by the people that go back and forth from Chicago to Sister Lakes out there in that area, and have little to no tolerance for anything that's in their way while they're trying to have a good time. And so mostly it comes from plates that are out of state, the disenfranchised behavior that takes place out there, but nothing has changed at this point in time. And it's very difficult to do. People don't want to be held up, and so it's hard when they run into a tractor. The thing I'd like to say is that if there are any farmers watching, make sure that you keep your tractor and equipment on the road, legal, slow moving vehicle signs, red reflective tape, that kind of thing. Those things are mandatory, and they need to be on those vehicles. So you need to make sure that everybody's as protected as they can be. That equipment's dangerous out there. It's don't give many opportunities if somebody runs into an implement in the back. That can be really bad. So
I saw a picture on Facebook of all things in it, and that's what brought this up to me. I don't know what kind of tractor it is. You'll be able to tell me, but it was way up off of the ground where it had a big tunnel underneath it. I don't know, what are those for? Grapes?
Over the road sprayers
Okay, over the road sprayers. Mm-hmm. This picture was it was red, and it had a one of them little Cooper cars that were underneath it, and they were driving down the road, and I went, that's what I thought of you. But
we have had while we're on the road with our sprayer, we have had a motorcycle in the past go through the tunnel.
Right.
While we're moving down.
While you're moving, yeah.
Passing, they were passing.
Yeah.
And they did on purpose to
Right down between the tires.
Right down between the tires, yeah. So the other thing I'd like to bring up, Commissioner Freeling, could you give a little information? We have a huge event. It's not a county board event, but it's a huge event coming up, and it's the Berrien County Youth Fair.
Yes, so starting next Monday, August 16th, throughout the week, we will be exhibiting all of the best of the youth of Berrien County at the Berrien County Youth Fair. And so I encourage all and everyone to come out to kind of support all of the work that's been going on with the youth of Berrien County and the hard work that they've done for all of their different exhibits, whether it be live animal projects, still exhibits, just all sorts of great things to celebrate the promising opportunities for our future because of the exhibitors that will be there next week. So thanks for that opportunity to do the shout out.
Tell us about the chicken food without having to do a drive-through.
Yes.
And so I was gonna just make a comment on that, but what about the tickets?
Oh, so for passes,
Yeah,
I'm gonna find out, because typically I know that because this is a county event, there are passes that will come to the Board of Commissioners so that you guys can come to experience it and to see it and see how it's being managed. But anyone who would like to get a pass, you can go to the fair office. It's open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m., I believe is the time. But of course, also picking them up at the gates when you show up on Monday is certainly encouraged as well. So I will follow up on the other questions when I get an answer.
and my only comment was what I believe David said. I mean, it's been 2 years. I gotta have all the corn dogs and the Philly cheesesteaks. I'm just saying, somebody over there said that, and I think that's very important also. It is the youth fair though, but most people go there for the kibbles and bits too. Yes. Yeah, the church tent. Ain't no question. That peach pie is phenomenal when that one church tent, but that's beside the point. All right, if there's nothing else, oh, yes.
There's one more reminder. We have Brownfield
yes.
redevelopment this afternoon at 1:30.
Yes. Seeing none and no information given to us by our undersheriff, we are adjourned. Well, I've been asked